but we lead with the new Disney Plus Marvel series.
Indeed, we do. Loki series premiere. The God of Mischief returns in his very own 6-episode Disney Plus story. Loki, up seconds after the trickster god steals the Tesseract and escapes in 2012 via Avengers Endgame, he is immediately apprehended by the Time Variance Authority, the TVA, which I love. While being processed through his trial, Loki learns the purpose of the TVA, which is to keep the sacred timeline moving and eradicate time variance to prevent multiversal disruptions. Loki escaping with the Space Stone is one of those variants. Agent Mobius, played by Owen Wilson. Wow. Saves Loki from being reset because he needs his help to stop a variant who is killing the TVA's Minutemen all over the timeline. Loki
Which I love that.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. Loki, still burdened by glorious purpose, initially is oppositional, but after seeing how his own timeline unfolds, as well as learning Infinity Stones are useless in the TVA, begins to warm to the idea of helping Mobius track down the killer variant, who he reveals is none other than Mephisto. Just kidding. It's Loki himself. The episode ends with some Minutemen being slain in a fiery death by a hooded figure that we are left to assume is some other version of Loki. What'd you think, Brendan?
I didn't really love it, if I'm being honest. The comedic chemistry between Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston was on display, and I thought that was very well done. I mean, I think we know that Owen Wilson's a funny guy based on many of the roles that he has played throughout the years. He has that sort of charisma that can carry a film. There were definitely aspects that I liked. I just thought that I don't know. We've had the conversation, at length that the future of Star Wars is potentially, at least for now, on the small screen. I don't necessarily think that that's true of Marvel. I think Marvel needs to stay on the big screen. I mean, WandaVision was good. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was fine-ish. And obviously it's the first episode, so there's a long way to go. But, I felt overall, I left, my initial reaction after leaving the episode was, this needs to improve a great deal for it to be on the same footing as WandaVision.
I don't disagree in the sense of more needs to happen, but this is the thing where this is a storyline I don't think any of us really thought we were going to get. You know what I mean? Post Avengers, I don't think we knew there's no way any of us thought, we're going to get a Loki series or even a Loki, a movie or anything like that. Loki would probably be in a storyline or something like this, but we're getting a Loki series. He's a very popular character in the comic books and in the movies. That's what he is. He's just he's a trickster. And I think what I liked about this is that, he couldn't do his tricks, and he kind of comes to this realization that he does kind of need to help out, but then he is still going to figure out a way to trick them or do something to make this evolve into whatever these are going to. And we can't do everything in the first episode, and this is 6 episodes, and we weren't sure where Falcon the Winter Soldier was going by the 6th episode. What you're getting and things like that. I mean, so I think this will particularly get us. It wouldn't surprise me if this is what leads us to more of the X-Men thing. I think one of these things was eventually going to lead us to X-Men, and it wouldn't surprise me if this is the one where we get a little more X-Men vibe. The thing that was funny to me is that Mobius is Owen Wilson, and that character is a very real character in the comic books, and just shows up as he's essentially a lawyer. In the comic books, he's a much different looking character than Owen Wilson. He's very scary looking in the actual comic books. And that was a funny take on it, is they just made him they made Owen Wilson just look like any other guy that would work at an organization like this, suit and tie. He's got the gray hair. I wasn't sure what we were going to get. I like what we did what they did with the first episode. I agree with you. I think the thing is, I think we both had the same thought at the end. They need to make it a lot more to happen going in the next 5. I just liked it because I forgot how much I actually enjoy Loki as a character in things. And maybe it's because I just got done watching the first Thor 2 days
Yeah,
ago.
sure.
And he's so great. And I mean, anytime Loki's like a main character, and Tom Hiddleston just really has the Cheshire grin that he has is so perfect. It really is. And they even bring it up in this episode. Like, you're smiling while you're killing people. And he just has like that perfect face for this character. And even if you go back in the comic books, it's weird. It's weird when they hit these characters so perfectly. And we've said this before, but I think like Tom Hiddleston is right up there with, Samuel L. Jackson's. Like, they look like the character, the comic book character, looked like the second variation of Nick Fury.
Yeah, right. The first one looks more like me.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But the second variation of Nick Fury, which
Yeah,
I think they were
ultimate Nick
kind
Fury.
of, that's kind of what they were going for. But you can say that. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. looks like freaking Iron Man from the fifth. I mean, like, that's like from the 60s. Like, they do look like these characters. And there was something about having Loki back. I think there was also something about having space back after we were just grounded with Falcon and the Winter Soldier that kind of made me happy. I liked having space back because we know that's where these movies are going, especially with kind of, what we know is happening in the near future with some of the movies.
Yeah, I guess my thing is that I feel like this episode was a little bit of a waste in that they spent so much time rehashing everything that Loki had gone through to that point through just showing old movies, and then even how his timeline ends. And he kind of realized, because this is, again, it's important to note that this is post 2012 Marvel's Avengers Loki. This is not the Loki who's gone through Thor Dark World, Ragnarok, Infinity War. He hasn't been killed by Thanos yet. He hasn't kind of come back to kind of sort of being a good guy like in Thor Ragnarok. He's still real shitty at this point. You know what I mean? He's about to be taken back to Asgard to see on trial. So it's important to note that is that version of Loki.
It's that Loki via Endgame, though, just so people understand. Like, it's him going back. I mean, anybody that listens to this and cares about has obviously seen Endgame and see what happens there. But
so I do think that it's important to point that out, that is why he's handling this situation that he's being put in the way that he is because he just lost a war for planet Earth, like literally seconds prior to this show starting. But using all the clips and everything like that, I felt like that. Now, I will say that the almost Schoolhouse Rock explanation, like cartoon of like
that was amazing.
What the TVA was really funny, and I thought that was very well done. But I felt like they could have just shown that and then done like all the clips as almost like a featurette that could have been like some type of prelude to the series and not wasted an episode on it. Because that's the thing is, I feel like this episode was just kind of wasted on.
The thing I will say is that Tom Hiddleston is an executive producer on this show.
He is. Yeah, I saw that.
So that is that's a key to this, is like, you're going to get a lot of like trying to make Loki, likable or, sympathetic. You're going to try to like do that with him being the executive producer. And this will eventually gear us to something. I do have a feeling the next episode is going to be a trip. I really do. Yeah. Now that he's going to be chasing himself.
Right.
That's going to be, that's what we're going to get. And it built up to that. So I had high expectations for this show. This was, of all the three that we knew we were getting, last year, this was the one that I was like, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I like knew I was going to love. WandaVision, I was not sure what I was going to get. This one was just like, well, I know what I'm getting from Loki. Sure. And if it's that, then I'll be satisfied. But we'll see. We'll let episode 2 kind of decide. I think episode 2 is going to be a key episode. Well, obviously we're going to watch all of them, but I think episode 2 is definitely a key episode of whether this will be good or meh. I really do.
I guess the other thing too is they put so much hype behind this with saying things like, well, the story for Loki is going to have major implications across the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's like,
well, it's a timeline story, so
right. And they acknowledge multiverse stuff and things like that. So, we all knew we were trending in that direction anyway. Yeah. But I don't know. Like I said, I felt the episode was kind of wasted in that they just spent so much time rehashing the past. And I thought that they could have done a little bit more with kind of showing, maybe explaining like what the TVA gets into like on site, because we did get like the scene with Owen Wilson in France or Spain, 1500, something like that, with like the little kid with the bubble gum or whatever. So we did get into it a little bit. I just felt like maybe they could have done a little bit more with that and focus a little bit less on, or the other one being that they showed Loki in like the 60s or 70s as this like famous criminal who was more stuff like that.
Yeah, DB Cooper, man, that was I love that. That was so great. DB Cooper is such like this like legend, and for him to be DB Cooper, he's like, well, I lost a bet to Thor.
Right.
That was great. That was great.
Right. I think that they could have gone with a little bit more like that, because and I just watched, well, I started to watch Thor Dark World, and he makes the comment as Odin is telling him, we're just like the humans, we live and we die. And he says, you know, plus or minus a few thousand years. So he's been up to this sort of shit for a long time.
Right.
Give us more of that sort of thing.
I think we will. Well, that's what I think that's what we're going to get with the chase. I think that's the build up to the chase. And we have 5 episodes, and these are probably, I didn't look at like the timeline on how long each episode is, but this one was 50 minutes.
All around going to be between 45 and an hour, I think. Yeah.
I thought this episode flew by though, as you know, for me. So I'm, you know, if that's the case, and we're probably going to have more of like him just chasing things down, which is a pretty cool idea. And I don't believe there's any sort of canon to this with the comic books. I could be wrong. But I wasn't.
Yeah,
I don't think so. Like I did like a cursory thing. I wasn't super huge in like that realm of comic books when I was a kid. I read some Thor, but I don't think, I still just don't believe this is a super canon device for this. All the characters are, but it just isn't in itself a storyline, a canon thing. But I'm so excited. Like, you know, this is just the first episode. And like we say, this is our tagline for the Marvel, until they let us down.
I mean, obviously we've talked, we're going to do extra episodes next 3 months for reviewing the Marvel, the MCU to this point. Phase 2 is kind of a garbage pile.
Phase 2 is not great except for one movie.
Outside of Winter Soldier, it's kind of rough. It's a lot of just really average, but it was still better than most other things, and we'll get into that. That's the thing. I like, that's the deal with it. Phase 1's so good though. We will get into that, but Phase 1 is very good. Yeah. I mean, you know, the episode in and of itself, some good laughs. I mean, I just like Owen Wilson just tickles me, man. You know what I mean?
He's perfect for this role.
It's so fun seeing him on the screen. So I'm looking forward to more of him. And you know, the character Loki has always been fun. So I'm sure it'll turn out just fine. I just thought that they could have made some better storytelling decisions with this particular episode, but it is what
6 out of 10 for me. I think 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it was on. You know, they had a "what'd you think of this episode" scale on, I don't know, IGN or whatever, and that's what I put, was 6 out of 10. So room for improvement.